Hello, and welcome to Getting to Know Supernova, the series that helps you, the viewer, understand the awesomeness that is Supernova, the world's most thoughtfully curated collection of digital animation and motion art videos. Supernova is the central component of Denver Digerati, a nonprofit organization that advances digital motion art through exhibition and education, accelerating the merger of art and technology. All of our exciting animations are first introduced to the public at the Supernova Digital Animation Festival, held each year since 2016 in the heart of Denver, Colorado. What makes Supernova the most singular and innovative festival experience in the world? Direct protocols that were established back in 2010 for accessing public LED displays located within the Denver Theater District, leading to the development of a unique infrastructure of public screens that allow for art infiltrations throughout the year. That and a ton of effort in building thoughtful programming, leading to the development of an extraordinary network of international artists that are at the leading edge of the most exciting art form of the digital age. Denver Digerati's history and depth in the medium is unparalleled and continues to evolve each and every year.
Hello, everybody. I'm Denver Digerati founder and creative director Ivar Zeile. And yes, that was also my voice you just heard. And now you can put a face to the voice. I love to speak about digital animation and all things Supernova, generally to groups both small and large, and quite comfortably in person. But this is coming to you from the land of COVID. There's not much to do but sit at the desk, watch lots of digital animation. I just recently created a green screen setup and thought it would be time to get rocking on some long overdue informationals about Denver Digerati's deluxe streaming service and how that relates to the work that we've been doing for the last decade. A lot of people have asked me, how do I understand Supernova? And there's so much content there, and where did this all come from? And I'm here to, give a little explanation now. So if you are a fan of Supernova already, or maybe will become one through watching all of the work we currently have in the app, then please tell others about your experience. It's a great way to support keeping the field real and also the perfect antidote to TikTok or whatever the flavor of the month happens to be. So before I do get started with today's session, I want to point out that my background is an animation by Cassie McQuater. She's really one of my absolute favorite artists, and you will see a little bit more of her later. And as you can see by my t-shirt, reality bites, go digital. This became our mantra in 2018, and it's probably going to stay the mantra for the foreseeable future. Today's discussion in Getting to Know Supernova is all about digital animation as public art. That's an unusual topic, but it's one of my favorites because in order to understand Supernova, you need to understand the origins of Denver Digerati. So we begin with some on-the-street footage I shot just last week. This is all documentation from animations that are currently in a heavy rotation on the 16th and Arapahoe LED screen. It's probably one of the coolest public screens anywhere and my favorite here in downtown Denver. That first excerpt was by Raquel Myers from her latest animation, Inattention, which will be screened in full at this year's upcoming Supernova Festival in September. This next one is from Cassie Shao. It was her competition entry piece from the 2019 festival. There were 4 of us. Next up, Heather Crank, an excerpt from Satellite, which we featured in the Director's Choice program last year at Supernova. And then this is an excerpt from Shifting, which is by Ana Carolina Estorita Guerrero. And this was featured in our Silent Screen program in 2019. And then these last 2 are by CU Denver College of Arts and Media students, Randy Wong and Aaron Nyers. These are both from the Supernova 2019 festival and a very special program where we work with students at the college to develop works that get shown on this screen as a featured part of Supernova. So it's really great to have access to these screens for those types of programs and to showcase the work of all the fabulous artists that we are devoted to and part of our network here with Denver Digerati. So this particular screen materialized in 2018, and it's one of the most interesting screens in our inventory, and one that we decided to focus on in our efforts to promote digital animation as an outstanding form of public art. You can see the setting is just incredible. And the work towards that began with a invitational program that we introduced at Supernova in 2018. We asked approximately 30 artists to create work specifically for the format of this screen. And of course, because our network of talent is so incredible, the results were just astounding. Works by artists like Ryan Wurst, and there's Cassie McQuater again, a very seasoned veteran in the field. Works by Emily Sasmore and Eli Ayers, two emerging artists that are doing just fantastic work. Katie Torn and Kendra Fleischman, two of my favorite artists, one from New York City and one from right here in Denver, Colorado. And we also featured student works that year. This top one is by Ben Alderman, bottom by Jeremy Belauer. Those were two of my favorites from the program. Additional artists, Penumbra Carter, a machinima artist, Jake Freed, who really isn't necessarily a digital artist, but sometimes his work really crosses over into our field. Quentin Gonzalez, another fabulous Denver-based artist, Heather Crank, who is based in Oregon. Here we have the wonderful husband and wife team of Lale Moran and Chris Coleman, but two of the most talented artists that I've ever met. We also have featured what I call the German invasion, Robert Seidel and Amelia Forstruder, both giving us wonderful abstract works. We also feature occasionally on the screen advertisements for our various programs, like Be Best with the Denver Film Festival. Do You Remember? That's from Rhino Side Stories. Reality Bites Redline, that's an exhibition that we hosted in 2018 as part of Supernova. You can see how these look up on the screen. It's really interesting to me when you see the mundane advertising that goes on these screens, and then you look at what we're able to accomplish in our charge to make digital animation a new form of public art. So how do we get to this point where we have animations populating screens in downtown Denver throughout the year as public artworks? Well, the starting point was in the imagination, as seen in this clip from the classic sci-fi movie Blade Runner, which oddly enough was set in 2019. The flyby image of the woman on the LED screen was one of many from this film that has always stayed with me. When Blade Runner came out, however, drive-in movie theaters were still a big thing, at least where I grew up. And I love the idea that you could have a social experience outdoors while watching a movie, something that has always resonated with me in other capacities, including exciting venues such as Red Rocks and others. Now, New York City is likely the first location to bring art to public screens in the heart of a major metropolitan center. I recently learned that Keith Haring was tasked to create a simple animation for the SpectraVision screen back in the early 1980s. And he truly recognized the power of computer-based animation and what computers were going to do to revolutionize art at the time. 30 years later, LED screens were beginning to materialize here in Denver, Colorado, and I was given the charge to figure out how to integrate art onto them as the creative director for the newly formed Denver Theater District. The first screen was an unusually wide format in what is a really beautiful location in downtown. The first attempts at putting motion art on the screens involved works created by two students from the Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, Justin Beard and Sterling Crispin. While not altogether successful, these were nevertheless a starting point. Another screen materialized shortly after, just a couple blocks up the street. And this was a really fantastic screen with a curvature and a format a little more amenable to video-based works. Its location was also very dynamic. We sampled not only motion artworks, but also stills that related to projects within the local art community. Big advertising that most art groups would never be able to afford. The game changer came in 2011. when I developed an evening event called Frame of Mind, which consisted of approximately 23 minutes of short form videos presented to the public on this LED, with sound also a component, as part of Create Denver Week. The city of Denver sponsored the event, which allowed us to shut down the street for the evening and allow nearly 1,000 people to gather to watch the proceeding. The works were part of a call for entries from Colorado-based artists only, with a cash prize award for Best in Show. Now, this was truly the most fresh experience in a long time. Light bulbs were just going off in the head, and it led to a charge to see what more could be done within this unique context. The next level was our second major event, Urban Encounters, in 2012. And this was an 80-minute long program consisting of curated selection of video artworks from around the world, alongside 5 works commissioned specifically for the program. Now, at this time, digital animation was starting to develop more clearly, with artists like Jonathan Monahan and Milton Crescent III producing electrifying works that really dazzled and felt completely fresh. Another artist who was starting to build an international following at this time was Jeremy Bailey, who enhanced his wickedly wry personal musings with digital prosthetics. The program was once again very inspiring and moved the needle further in what could be accomplished with out-of-the-box thinking in the use of LED. The temperature also dropped 50 degrees that day, causing a lot of anxiety with having put so much effort into a single outdoor program. Nevertheless, we remained undeterred, leading to the new advances set for 2013, with the creation of Friday Flash, a series of curated programs and happenings that would take place once a month over the summer, with unique infiltrations of this central and spectacular LED screen. This never before seen footage is from the initial test, which featured 2 15-minute animations by Rick Silva, an artist who is at the forefront in experimental digital motion art today. The series really took shape from there, featuring various projects that introduced a wide assortment of artists and their digital motion artworks to the public through LED. It was at this time when the name Denver Digerati was first employed to brand the concept, an umbrella that served to define the focus on digital animation, as well as new constructs for bringing the work to the public. Elevating digital animation as a new form of public art seemed to be fitting, as can be seen in our first identity video here. Denver Digerati envisions the future, with public art created by brilliant digital artists and animators, using technology in meaningful and provocative ways, on large-scale LED screens located in major urban environments. Denver Digerati is building a singular network to support this vision. We welcome you to join us for the ride. The focal element within the series was the annual commissioned artwork program, which capped Friday Flash in September each year. Artists were given reasonable stipends and a few months' time to develop new works that would be specific to the unique format of the screen. This allowed Denver Digerati to network with leading artists across a broad spectrum, both locally, nationally, and worldwide, towards the concept of building a new library of animations intended for the public domain. It was truly exciting, particularly as our niche of digital animation was in the early stages of development. I knew we had the pulse of something revolutionary and quite rare coming from a city such as Denver, which, is widely more known for the great outdoors than for cutting-edge art concepts. Around the same time, additional LED screens were placed within the Denver Theater District, leading to new opportunities to experiment with digital animation. Each screen would have a unique format, so it wasn't possible to just curate works for them. And our eye was always towards involving artists in engaging ways, like the 10-Second Film Festival, which was a 2-month festival which cycled 10 works across 5 screens each day alongside the advertisements that the screens are normally reserved for. And of course, they could only be 10 seconds long. If you walked within a 4-block radius, you could see all of these animations just about any time during the day or night. We also used the opportunity and access to the screens to work with students to formulate projects that would find them creating animations for these same specific screen formats, and also appearing daily over a set amount of days. As far as I know, other cities were not able to do anything along these lines, and no other city had protocols to access the screens through the media companies that controlled them. Denver was really a leader in this regard, and I believe remains so today. After 3 years of exploring the medium in depth, it was time for the next giant leap forward. And in 2016, the Supernova Digital Animation Festival was introduced as a far reaching platform, capturing the new zeitgeist of digital animation that was starting to formulate all across the world, intersecting with many genres of art. Supernova brings hours of digital animation to the public over the course of one day on numerous screens within the core of Denver, and along with a multitude of additional engagements with partner venues throughout our city. Denver Digerati's use of specialized screens like this one at 16th and Arapahoe continue to form the core of development, with solidifying our position of digital animation as public art. Works that are first presented on this screen during Supernova are made specifically for this unique format and can then be put into the daily cycle of content that populates the screen at all other times. Supernova now utilizes most of the public LEDs with more unusual formats in Denver for our silent screen program, which presents looping animations made specifically for those screens throughout the day of the festival, giving these artists the greatest overall visibility while also deepening the understanding of how these screens would look and function if they were dedicated to displaying digital motion art full time. In 2019, Denver Digerati partnered with Momentum Festival in Toledo to bring our unique programming and focus on digital animation to their annual arts platform through an enormous public LED that anchors their festival in a public park setting, making it visible for blocks to the community. Denver Digerati has spent a great amount of time researching other locations and programs that have integrated motion art and animation on LED in some capacity, mostly with great limitations so far. Each example has its own unique attributes and access challenges for presenting artwork, yet each provides a compelling reference that this is an undeniable wave for the future. There is no doubt that digital animation as a public art engagement is growing and might one day thrive, with Denver Digerati leading the way with both artists and other entities towards sustainable best practices in this ever-evolving tech-based landscape. So that's really just a brief glimpse into our work trying to put forward digital animation as public art. Really, this session could go on for much longer and actually has through lectures that have been given in public forums. But from here on, I would invite you to please continue watching without commentary the full documentation of our series, Digital Animation as Public Art, featuring works that have been in the daily rotation in Denver at the 16th and Arapahoe LED screen since the advent of that screen in 2018. And if you've ever caught sight of our work in this context, please drop us a line and let us know what you think. We feel it's a great way to enhance anyone's experience in the city and hope to continue doing this great work into the future.